Hi, Todd here from Urban Sound Studio, and today we're taking a look at an update for Console 1 mixing system that offers two cool new features. First up is the MIDI mode and MIDI modules for Console 1 fader and Console 1 channel. It allows you to take the Console 1 hardware and map it to third-party plugins, VST instruments, and even external MIDI instruments. And then next, you could use the screens on the Console 1 hardware to display your studio logo or other images. We'll see how to get that set up. But let's start with the MIDI modules and the MIDI mode for Console 1 mixing system. So you can see here that we are in Logic, and the first thing I'm going to do is insert a plugin. I'll insert the Waves API 560. Now to get started assigning the MIDI module, I'll hold Load Strip Section and then select that first slot on the EQ section to load the MIDI CC module. I'll turn on my on-screen display. I'll select MIDI CC. Now I could select any four of these mappings, but I'll select MIDI CC 0 to 25. I'll now turn on that section of my EQ. And you could see I have control over all those CC values with the knobs. If I hold Shift, you could see there are additional MIDI CC mappings there. Let's close the display. Now let's touch a parameter. In this case, I'll touch 16K. And in Logic, I'll use Command L. That's how we assign MIDI control to any parameter. Let's move the Learn window to the side for now. Now touch any of the knobs in the EQ section, and we map to it. Let's map 8K, 4K. I'm going to go through and map the rest of the plugin just to show you how quick it is to get the plugin mapped. And I can even map something like the output volume. Now we're done. I can close the controller assignments window, and I now have full control over the API plugin. Now I've gone ahead, moved it to the side, and then loaded the black box HG2 as another insert. This time I'll use the shape section to map to the black box. I'll hit Load Strip Section and select the first slot of the shape section. I'm going to use totally different CC values, so I'll use the ones at the end just to make sure that we're not interfering with the ones we've already mapped. I'll turn on the shape section, and I can see that my knobs are now available to map. And it's the same process as the EQ. Let's touch saturation, and then we'll touch the knob. We'll assign pentode. We'll even map this top selector switch. And last, I'll do triode. Now let's close the Learn window, and you can see I could control two plugins at once. Or if I go over to the API EQ, you could see that I can control two different parameters on that EQ at once, something you can't do with the mouse. So it really gives you complete tactile control over third-party plugins that we didn't used to have on Console 1. Let's go on over and see what we could do with Console 1 fader. I have Addictive Drums opened in Logic. Let's turn on our on-screen display. I'm going to hold Shift and hit Function Mode or Settings. Now there's an option here that says Fader MIDI Controller. At the moment it says None. I'm going to hold Shift and hit OK. I want to make sure that that mode is enabled. Now let's hit OK again, and we'll put ourselves into a MIDI CC mode. So now using the 10 faders, we could control something such as the mixer at the bottom of Addictive Drums. So click the parameter you want to control. In Logic, Command L opens up the Learn window. And then just move the fader that you want to control the fader on Addictive Drums. Let's click on Snare and map that. We'll do the same with hi-hat. And we'll do it for toms. And we'll do one more. Tom 2, which gives us 5 faders controlling Addictive Drums. Now let's close the window, and as you can see, I have complete control over Addictive Drums, or the opposite. If I use my mouse and control something on Addictive Drums, we could see the fader move on Console 1 fader. Let's open up the Arturia Mellotron. I'll use Command L to open up the Learn window. I'll touch the tone knob and then touch a fader. Let's do the same thing with pitch. Touch the pitch knob, and then touch a fader that's available. And now I have control over those two parameters right from Console 1 Fader. And when you're done working in MIDI mode, just hit Display On, go to your function mode, and go back to Console 1 mode. Okay, now let's see how we could use the screens on Console 1 Mixing System to display your studio logo or other images. It's a cool, neat way to personalize your hardware, especially in front of clients. As you see, this is a fun new feature. I can have my logo of my studio displayed when we're seeing the clock on Console 1 channel. And we can see it up there on the top left. Here's just a different angle. Now the way to go about doing this is simple. You go to Library, then Application Support. Select the Softube folder, then create a folder called Logos. And in there, you'll place the logo that you want on channel. And we'll call it Channel Logo 240 by 240.png. And underneath, you can see I have some fader display logos set there too. So the way this works is a little different. I type fader logo 240 by 240, and then you'll see it says display 1, and the number at the end determines which display that photo appears on. So it could be display 1 through display 9. You can see on my fader unit that all my fader displays kind of create one continuous photo throughout the 10 different displays. So just for fun, I'm going to switch out the folder for a completely different set of photos. So this is a bit goofy, but hey, I grew up playing Nintendo, why not? Let's throw it up there. At least I know by throwing up Mario Brothers on each screen, I'll get a nice laugh out of each of my clients. Thanks for watching. I'm especially interested in knowing how you plan on using the MIDI mode and MIDI modules within Console 1 Mixing System in your workflow. Leave some comments in the chat below, and as always, please help support the channel by liking the video and hitting subscribe.